What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one I want to talk about SPY and break down some very important things. Let me first say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. Now, I want to talk about something very important right here. If you look in the past, looking back at December 29th, there was an attempt by SPY to try to break out from this channel before it came back in, and this was just an example of a fake out, which had a move that failed. And right over here, SPY attempted to break out. This move was looking very decent in the beginning, but this move ended up failing as we got a big rejection. So now SPY is testing this previous trend line right here. This is very important. But the most important level is still 468. We're still above that. We're going to be watching to see if the bears are strong enough to break that. The bulls are fighting. They're fighting very hard trying to hold us above 468 on SPY. We're going to be watching this very carefully. Do we hold above this? Do we close above this or not? If we lose this, the bears are going to have a lot of control and we're going to see a much bigger drop, guys. So I want to warn you about that. Watch this 468 support. Does the market hold this? Does SPY hold this? It's looking weaker now. It attempted to break out. This was an attempt and ended up failing. So now watch 468. If we lose it, there's going to be a much bigger drop coming. So I wanted to warn you about that on SPY. On the QQQ, this thing attempted to break out as well from this resistance. Got a rejection off 400. It didn't manage to break 400, came back down. Now we're basically trading around 397. If we lose that, it's already looking a little bit weaker. Watch 396.5 as support. It might just kind of range trade from there, but this breakout attempt ended up failing. Tesla was very interesting too. It attempted to break out as well. Made a very, very nice move. Pushed all the way up to 242. And this thing ended up failing. It came back down and now it's testing the support right here at 239. We're going to be watching to see if Tesla could hold this. If we lose this trend line of support, our next target is going to be this 237 area. So watch that carefully on Tesla. We're going to be watching to see how it holds. If it ends up losing 237 later on, it's going to turn even more bearish. Let's see if Tesla closes within this channel or not. That's going to be very important as well. And then finally, we have Nvda and the QQQ. I'm going to try to be quick with this one. For Nvda, this had a very nice inverse head and shoulder setup. We got a nice push. It did actually push quite a bit. But the problem is Nvda is now rejecting with the whole market. And now we got this rejection off 485. So with the inverse head and shoulders, it was a nice push-up. We tried to get very close to 490, but now we rejected and we're coming back down towards 480. So once again, guys, not necessarily the best. It's trying to hold up. Nvidia is still showing some strength. It's still above 480. But make sure you watch support right around there, around that 480 area. Watch resistance at 482. Not to mention 484 to 485 as resistance. Then we have 488 and 490 above that. With the inverse head and shoulders, once again, Nvidia has a nice setup. It still is existent. It hasn't invalidated it, but the only issue with Nvidia is as the market's kind of like cooling off a bit, this is making it harder for it to break out. Try to break 485, and so far it's kind of rejected a bit. So watch that carefully. Make sure you watch support at 480 and see how Nvidia does. It is slowing down just a little bit. And finally, for Aapl attempted to bounce too. We had a nice gap above. We actually saw Aapl push all the way up to about 183. Made a gap up to 184, but if anything, Aapl ended up rejecting off 183, and now we're testing 182.4. We actually rejected off 182.5 as well, so we're looking like we're still struggling to break out on Aapl. So even though it attempted to bounce, it looked like it wanted to go for this gap fill, it is still kind of like struggling. If you want to see this thing turn bullish, you want to see this thing close above 183. If it achieves that, it could fill the gap to 184 and then trade in this chop zone. If it fails to do so, there's going to be a risk of it coming back down to 182 flat and eventually 181. Aapl tried to break out, it tried to bounce, and so far it kind of failed. It came very close, but it's not really doing as well. So with that being said, the market is slowing down. It's starting to weaken. There was an attempt to break out by the bulls, but they've failed so far. So make sure you watch support and see if we close above 468 on SPY or not, and if we get a bigger move to the downside. With that being said, please have a great day, guys. I want to make this very quick and simple. If SPY closes below 468, there's going to be a much bigger drop coming, so be very, very careful. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and peace out.